A lot of meetings in my office, but when I did, at the end of the meeting, I would ask them, how would you rate me from 1 to 5, 1 low, 5 high, on how I listened today? And they were very honest. They'd say, well, you kind of interrupted me, or, you did all the talking, and, I really didn't feel like, you respected me because you didn't want to listen to my feedback or input or whatever. So that kind of helped me to, listening was always my lowest scoring item. It never changed, but my score went up. And that was the whole point is, I started at like a 3.8 and I moved it up to a 4.3. So even though, there's always going to be something at the bottom of the list. But mine just happened to be listening. And so what I did was just keep that log. And then that log actually served to help me, and it opened up the discussion around what are the issues. And I left out a very important part of that, the implementation process. So let me back up. After the first survey, and after the development of the action plan, each leader had to sit down with either the people that filled out the survey, if it was appropriate, or with their staff. And in some cases, some people did both. But they actually had to sit down and do what we call opening your kimono. Now, I have no earthly idea what you wear under a kimono, but you get the image of what I'm talking about here. And basically what that is you're bearing your soul. And I remember I had one gentleman who had been there for 40 years, and he had a very low scoring item, and he didn't believe it. And then he found out he had to go through the opening your kimono process, and he said, I'm not going to do it. And I said, why not? He said, I can't tell those people that I'm not a good listener. And I kind of smiled to myself, and I thought, they're the ones that are telling you you're not a good listener. So the only one in the room that doesn't know you're not a good listener is you, and not them. But he was just adamant that he wasn't going to go through that process, but eventually he did. And what I found was the process is actually very liberating because, as leaders, particularly in the United States, we're taught, not to show our emotions. We're taught, one of the common expressions we have is don't let them see you sweat. You're supposed to have a facade of having everything under control and all this. And what this does is it breaks down all those barriers where you can be open and vulnerable. And, you can admit, I don't have the answers to everything. But, maybe you could go try to figure out, because a lot of times people come in and they just dump stuff on your desk. And very rarely did I ever take the issue. I would ask them to go develop a plan. I'd coach them through the process, but, it's not my problem, it's their problem. So what they try to do is dump that problem on my desk, and obviously I can't take care of all the problems. I'd much rather have 6,000 people that are taking care of their own problems, which is how many employees we have, rather than me being the only one that was solving problems. Or, I was willing to help, but it's your problem, you need to figure out a solution to it.
Martine, and then I'll go back to the last 3 questions.
What factors did you notice that told you it was starting to work? What changes in employees?
Well, one of the other parts of communication, there's actually 3 things that are very important. One of them, I started doing a weekly email that went out to 7,200 people. Went out to all the doctors, all the board members, 200 community leaders, the legislators, and all of the employees. And so what we did was started creating an open communication environment where the employees felt like they had information. The second thing was the incorporation of what I call leadership grounding, which means that I am out and about, walking the hallways, visiting nursing units, visiting the laboratory, going to doctor's offices that we might employ the physician offices, going to non-employed physician offices, going to IT, going to finance, business office, and engaging with employees and having open dialogue and discussion. And the third thing that was extremely powerful, and it doesn't sound like a big deal, was eating lunch in the cafeteria with employees. And so when I ate lunch, the previous person had lunch brought to him in his office, and he ate in his office by himself and quote work. I would go in the cafeteria, grab a plate of whatever, and go sit down with a group of employees. Now there might be 2 or 3 employees, or there might be 6, depending on the size of the table. But the powerful part of that was not only did I have connection and relationship building with those people, the other 200 people in the cafeteria, because we had a very large cafeteria, also saw me coming in there every day. So over a period of time, they're starting to notice that this person is very accessible. So the leadership rounding, the weekly emails, and eating lunch in the cafeteria. So what are I believe the question maybe was more specific about statistical data. The biggest thing, no?
I was just wondering what behaviour you noticed.
Yeah, so what I noticed was that people started opening up and talking about things. And the neat thing about the lunch in the cafeteria and the rounding was I found out things that were happening in the organization exponentially quicker than anybody else did. Because if there was a rumor going around, or if there was a problem or something going on, instead of waiting for it to filter up through the department head and the vice president and me, and when I say filter, I mean filter. So the message it was so muddled by the time it would get to me that it would be the truth. So by finding these things out, then I would go to the vice president and say, hey, I was doing rounds in the OR, and they told me that this is going on. Were you aware of that? No, I wasn't. So then the next time, what do you think that the vice president started doing? Lead around, because they didn't want his boss coming in and telling them that he knew something that they didn't know. So that reinforced the fact that the vice presidents needed to be getting out too, because they were embarrassed when I'd come in and say, have you heard this was happening? The other thing that does is it allows you to be very agile and to respond to things much more quickly and less bureaucratically than if you just wait around for things to bubble up to you. Because if you wait around for them to bubble up to you, you may never know what's going on. The statistical measures that we used were, number one, our turnover rate, or retention rate, because if you have a high retention rate, a low retention rate, that is a sure sign that you have disgruntled employees, because they come there and they quit. All right, so the higher your retention, and our retention rate in North Mississippi ran around 93%, which is extremely high. The industry in the United States retention rate is 75%. So there's a 25% turnover. We were basically running a 7% turnover rate. And then the second part of that, we did a biannual employee satisfaction and engagement survey. So we got hard data on how the employees felt about 80 different items. So that's the statistical portion of that.
Okay, there were 2 questions, one here and one at the back, so, and they'll be the last 2.
I'm just interested in your impressions of Australian leadership styles. Possibly, what you've described as quite measurement ability of leadership. And given that Aussies are, known for their sort of laid-back styles, whether you have made any observations about the differences in leadership here?
It is extremely diverse.
Australian politics.
I've met some people that were highly engaged, and I've met some people that were totally disengaged, which is what you would expect. The one thing that's common, and I told Pollyanna this almost every night when I came home after the vet working to death every day. The one thing that I've noticed is in the United States, and it's not just in leadership, it's pretty much the entire country, because there's a lot of people that don't have anything, human possessions, worldly possessions, that have a huge amount of pride and ego. And I've not found that in Australia. It seems like the humility part, which is the most important part of that list, probably is not an issue in Australia like it is in the United States. In the United States, the humility part in business is unbelievable. The egos of the people that are running businesses in the United States, well, I'll just give you one example, Donald Trump.
We don't have anyone like that.
Huh?
We don't have anyone like that here.
Yeah, see, that's very, his, not the crazy things that he's saying. Most people are more reserved and smarter than to say the things that he said in public. But the ego part of it is very simple. In fact, I've got a slide deck that has quotes from Donald and a picture of him saying you're fired. That is an example of sort of the classic American view of what leadership is. And they have very big egos. And Polly and I have actually talked about this too, is that it's amazing how much pride people have. Even people that don't have a lot, are still very proud people. But the Aussie people seem to be very humble, down to earth, just good people. And there's a lot of people like that in the United States, but I haven't run into anybody that I can tell had a huge ego. But as far as consistency across the board, it's very diverse.
The last